Okay, I am back and I'm ready to go. Make sure everything's plugged in. It looks like it is. I got more stuff plugged in here than I usually have plugged in at home. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Now I'm starting to get up to speed for the first time, so we'll see how this thing's going to behave. So I'm close enough now. If it gives me too much trouble, I'll go back and have them take the wheels off at the yard instead of pulling over and doing it myself. We've got no issues so far. None. That's good. I should be able to pull between 60 and 65 without having any undue fishing around back there. And this load is pulling just like it should, which is a relief. After that last one was a son of a gun. It really gave me trouble. The only downside to this is neither one of these trailers are decent for sleeping in. Once in a great while, I'll get a horse trailer that you can actually sleep in. They're usually goosenecks, and they've usually got a bed platform made up over the gooseneck anyway. It's kind of how they're built. These are just stock trailers. It's no such luck. Be motels for tonight. I mean, if I had to sleep in it, I guess I could. It's not something I would choose to do because it's open to the elements and they don't have any locking doors or anything on them. I'm running 62 and it's tracking real well. Yay. I think we'll be fine. You don't want to go too much faster than 60 with these things anyway, just because it just makes sense. You're longer and got a lot of stuff back there to keep an eye on. But at least at 60 to 65 I can run on the interstate and not be a big pain in everybody's butt. You know, it's fast enough that it won't congest things. So I'll reset my mileage counter here and see what I'm going to get on this load. I'm guessing about 8 or 9 8 or 9 miles to the gallon. So at 10 miles to the gallon, it would take me 120 gallons to get out there. Just under 120. I've got more than that on the truck. So I don't have to buy any more fuel till I get out there. But if I see a good deal, I can stop and, you know, just fill my regular truck tank when it runs down. So. Just sit and wait, big guy. I don't need you busting my windshield with a rock. See, I could have done better down here for diesel, but I didn't know that, and I needed DEF, so it's one of those things. I can't second guess myself every time I stop for fuel, because it's going to be someplace down the road it's cheaper. I suspect my favorite stop out here will be a lot cheaper than that, but they don't have DEF, and I needed that today. And I needed a place I could pull in with doubles, and that's not really a good spot for that, so. But you know, you can only do what you can do. Pretty much it. So this intersection is actually the intersection where I took the picture that shows up at the beginning of each of my videos, the pretty sunset. I was facing the other direction, but this is exactly where it was taken. It's the intersection of Highway 70 and North Main Street in Madill, or in Kingston, Oklahoma. Just if you like some useless trivia, but that's the intersection where that sunset was photographed. I'm going to try doing something different today. I'm going to try stopping and eating lunch for my 30-minute break, since I've got actual food with me today instead of just like jerky and nuts or whatever. I've got sandwich stuff. I don't have bread. I brought wraps, which is, you know, bread substitute. But so the thing is, I quit eating wheat and grains altogether because they were messing with my blood pressure. So now it seems to be much better. This supplement I've been taking, the niacinamide B3, that seems to have kind of straightened that all out. But I think it's in part because I haven't been eating grains. So I'm just going to stay off the grains that I've got for the most part. But I've got these wraps. They're grain, but they're multi-grain. They're like I don't know, kind of a substitute for a tortilla, I guess. Supposed to be more ketogenic, not as high in carbs, which I'm sure it's all carbs anyway. But I've eaten them before and they didn't bother me, so I'm going to use those instead of using bread. I actually bought a little loaf of bread, and it actually was pretty good, I thought, but I left it there for Bill because it's only got 2 grams of carbs in it per slice. It's really low-carb ketogenic bread. I can buy more if I need it, but I thought I'd leave it for him because he really likes sandwiches, and it's not giant bread. It's not like you can make a giant sandwich with it, but you can make 2 little ones if you wanted to, I guess. But at least it's something he can eat that's not going to mess with him so much as carbs. He's not allowed to eat carbs much. Not supposed to. So this is the area right here that got hit by that tornado that came through in the spring. And it tore stuff up pretty good. They've got most of it cleaned up. There's still a lot of damage on the buildings and stuff that tore everything up pretty bad. I came through here like a week afterwards and there was still trash all over the place. When a tornado hits, it's like it just stirs everything up in a blender and it just lands where it lands. So it can be any number of things all dropped, you know, in a certain area that it's dropping stuff. Okay, 524 out here. So they're a little higher here at the casino. Sometimes they're lower, sometimes they're not. There's one more place out here, it's usually the lowest around, and that's where I usually like stopping. But like I say, today it wasn't a good day today to try and stop out here, considering I've got doubles and I needed the diesel exhaust fluid, the DEF, which they don't have at the pump anyway. Oh boy, more road work. Yeah, see, they're cheap out here, 504. I paid 15 cents more a gallon, and I bought 30 gallons, so 3 times 15 is 4. So I paid $4.50 more than I would have paid here. So that's not too bad. 'Cause if I needed to fill up everything, that would have been the place to do it. That's where I filled it up last time for $4.65 when everybody else was over 5. The first time I took the new auxiliary fuel tank out for a spin, that was the Pennsylvania trip. Well, that's where I found that 464 fuel, and I put every drop I could fit in there, and it did me well because I didn't have to buy any $6 fuel back in Pennsylvania. So that was really good. That was a profitable trip. That was a really good trip. This should also be a profitable trip. I don't have to go that far. Of course, it's a lot less pay. But that's okay. It's still a lot of money, and I don't have to drive 2 extra days that I would have to if I was going that far again. Okay, the bridge I have a love-hate relationship with here. I don't know what's with this camera, it's like really shooting dark. I don't understand why. I am just north of Durant, Oklahoma, heading northbound on Highway 69, and I'm heading to Athens, Ohio, which is about 1,000 miles up the road somewhere. And I'm debating which route to take. I think I'm going to stick to the original route I chose because there's a motel I'd like to stay at tonight that has everything I need in a motel when I'm pulling doubles. So I'll be going up to Missouri and cutting across on I-44. All these people dragging these giant travel trailers around for vacation. That just seems like work to me. The trailer I drag runs about the size of this one right here. This little happy camper. I bet he is too, because he's not dealing with all the problems you get with these bigger trailers that are running over here beside him. So we've got a little it's a 64 or 65 Shasta. It's not even 20 feet long. It may be 20 feet from the front of the hitch to the back of the bumper, but it's just right. And it's not fancy by any means. It's an old trailer. Well, it's not as old as I am, but it's almost. So it is an old trailer. I stand by that statement. But it's sure a lot easier to pull than those great big things. And I don't know how they can stand to pull those really tall ones like that. We actually have one, and I have pulled it, but mostly we just lived in it for about 9 years and didn't pull it around much. We took it a couple of places, and it was a pain in the butt. Just too big to mess with. So this little town is called Tushka, Oklahoma. Tushka. I think they say it Tushka. It's either Tushka or Tushka. I think it's Tushka. But basically what I do when I'm pulling doubles, I spend a lot of time looking back at the trailers to make sure everything looks good back there. If anything starts fishing around or anything, I have to slow down. I haven't had any trouble with these, but you still got to keep an eye on it because you just never know. I'd rather catch a problem before it turns into something serious than, ignore it. Or just be oblivious to begin with. It's not a good way to do when you're pulling something like this. I mean, they're not really that hard to pull if they're behaving themselves. You just can't go real fast. That's just the bottom line on it. You gotta moderate your speed just to be safe with them. That sign back there said there's a rest area in 3 miles. I don't remember a rest area up in here at all. Huh. Have I been missing something all these years? Guess we'll find out. Could be. Okay, I guess I can turn my... There we go. Just adjusted my trailer brakes. I had them set a little hot. I don't need to really have them. These are lightweight trailers. I don't really need to have them set heavy. I think these trailers weigh under 2,500 pounds a piece. Okay, this is where Highway 69 crosses Highway 3. I used to run Highway 3 a lot when I hauled stuff over to Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's kind of the back way over there. So I actually used to run through here a lot going the other way. Oh, they got their watermelons set out so you can see how ripe they are. Should be just about time for the Rush Springs Watermelon Festival. I think they have that maybe in July. It'd be the third week in July or something like that. I've never actually been to it. I don't like crowds. Same thing with the Marlow 4th of July celebration. I don't go to that either because I don't like crowds. So once you get that many people in that small of an area and it's hot and you're, hot and sticky anyway, and you get all those people, it just doesn't appeal to me a bit. But some people love that kind of thing. A lot of them evidently do because a lot of them go to them. They got a call somewhere. These little boys up here. Thought they looked like they had some intent of going. They're not just out running around. They must have something relatively urgent. Not enough to run code to, but enough to not stop for the stoplight. When I was a cop, if I had something that was urgent to go to, I just ran code anyway. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to half-ass it. I'm just going to run code. Running code, by that I mean turning my lights and sirens and just running. Not necessarily running super fast, but just running so people would get the hell out of the way. Wonder what that was about. It looked like they were laughing. It must have been something funny. Probably somebody making a big deal out of nothing. It's usually what that turns out to be. Somebody thought they saw something and called it in, and I'm just guessing. Obviously. Not privy to Atoka Police radio traffic. But anyway, if I had to call for something serious enough, I would just run code. It just simplified matters. People knew what you were doing, and there was no guesswork involved. Person was having trouble deciding where to turn at, evidently. Hope they do turn, because I got nowhere to go but straight through here. So this is Reba McEntire country through here. This is where she was raised at. right in this area between Atoka and Stringtown, I think. In Atoka's the town we just left. Stringtown's the next one up, I believe. But we don't really go into Stringtown. It's down off of the highway. Change over to the other sunglasses. These don't get dark enough. When it's hazy and light like this, it bothers my eyes a lot. So I'll fish out the mega sunglasses, ones that get super dark. Well, they don't get super dark, they are super dark. The ones I'm wearing right now are transition lenses, and they don't get very dark. Oh, that's so much better. Way better. Okay, so this is Stringtown. We won't see a lot of the actual town. If any of it, I don't think, really. A lot of potato chips right there. It's a Lay's potato chip trailer. Trooper sitting back there running radar. still trying to figure out where this rest area is at. So I've never seen a rest area up here that I can remember. This deal on the left up here is a prison. That's Big Mac. One of Oklahoma's oldest prisons. It's been around a long time. Pretty much where they send the worst of the worst in Oklahoma is Big Mac. And I am currently eastbound on Interstate 44. My next town coming up is Springfield, Missouri. And I'm trying to make it to Pocahontas in Illinois tonight. So I've got plenty of time to do it. Got a little extra time. But I'm not running real fast, so I'll probably run out that time on the way there. So I picked out Pocahontas because there's a little hotel there, the Powhatan Motel. Wasn't Powhatan Pocahontas' father? I think he was. So anyway, they've got a little hotel there. It's a mom and pop, and it's got a great big parking lot, which is exactly what I need for trailers. And it doesn't have a whole bunch of rooms. It's just a small place. And it has really good reviews as far as the rooms. It says they're older, but they're clean. And that's usually a recipe for a lower rate motel as far as the money. They usually don't charge as much for little mom and pops like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on this trip. I will be delivering these trailers tomorrow, most likely. I don't have all that much farther to go once I get over here to Pocahontas. Right now I'm still about 250 miles away, I think. Somewhere thereabouts. But I'm 4 hours away. Probably 260 miles because 4 hours is 60. I've been running in the range of 60 to 65. I haven't had any trouble with these doubles. And every once in a while I'll get up close to 70, but I don't want to exceed that under any circumstances because they're doubles. So I just want to be careful, cautious, not get too crazy in here. But I'm going to try and do better than 60 the rest of the way, and then that should give me plenty of time to get there before I run out of drive time. So this is the kind of work that I actually prefer over the stuff I was doing last week and for the last 2 months or 3 months, whatever it's been, doing all the stacks. This is just tied together doubles. They're no big deal. They they're tied together when I pick them up, so I don't have to take them apart or anything. All I got to do is unhitch them from my truck and get them signed for, and I can leave, which takes about 5 minutes. It takes a little longer if they want to take them apart and send a hitch back with me, then I may wait for that. But if they don't mention it, I'm not, because it's usually not a deal. They'll eventually send them back with somebody. They probably got a stack of hitches laying in the corner from these guys. So, but if they requested for them to send them back, then I'll wait on them. Which reminds me, I've got one from last week I've got to return. I forgot to grab it again. Once I get these delivered tomorrow afternoon, then I'll spend the rest of the evening heading back up to Indiana, where I've got a single trailer waiting for me. And I don't know anything about this company that I'm picking that up at. It's a totally new company to me, but I've never picked up from them. And my broker guy, actually he drives too, so he's never picked up from them, so we don't know anything about them at all. All I've got is a trailer number and a rate, and I know where it's going. It's going to Fort Morgan, Colorado. So this is right up my alley. Fort Morgan is, about a day's drive from my home, so I can get over there and deliver it, and then maybe just, stay overnight in Kansas or whatever, and then get on home. It's pretty close. Or if I can deliver it early in the day, or, in the afternoon, early in the day, then, well, if I deliver it in the afternoon, I'll probably stop somewhere, but if I deliver it early in the day, early enough to have enough drive hours to get home, then I'll just go home. And I should have if I don't take the back roads. Last time I was over in Kansas, I took back roads, which adds about an hour or so to the trip, maybe a couple hours, the way I was kind of poking along looking at the scenery. Okay, sorry about that. These phone calls, gotta talk. So I'm already past Springfield. Everything's been going fine. Just continuing eastbound on Interstate 44. I'm about just under 200 miles away from St. Louis. But I stayed off this exit last time I was here. There's a Super 8, I think it is, back over across the left side of the highway. Turned out to be a good place to stay with the trailer, because I had same kind of setup. I had two trailers on, so I could drive all the way around the back of the building, and I didn't get jammed up in there anywhere. I could park, where I could see the trailer from the window, which I like to do. I like to park where I can see the truck, see the trailers. Just makes me feel better. If I wake up at 3 in the morning worried about it, I can go look out the window and see, yeah, it's still there. Okay, go back to bed. So that is part of my job, is making sure that it gets there and doesn't disappear on the way there. When people have had trailers stolen, evidently there was somebody that worked for my broker. I can't remember the whole circumstance, and I don't remember exactly what kind of trailer it was. I think it might have been a cargo, but they had it backed up against a curb, so they had it jammed in there pretty good. Well, whoever got in there and got it, jacked it up off the truck and dragged it out over and onto their truck and stole the dang thing. Just completely stole it. So it does happen. Now, I don't want that to happen, because then I would have to pay the deductible on the insurance, which that'd be $1,000. That pretty much, you know, take care of any profit you had on that job. That pretty much eat it up, take a big chunk out of it. So I, generally speaking, try to park where I can see the vehicle. Sometimes in some of these big hotels, there have been a few times I just couldn't see the truck. There was not any way to see it. So I would just make sure it was parked under lights in a real obvious, you know, obviously visible area. I don't park in any dark back corners or anything. I'll park it as obviously as I can. Then if anybody starts messing around with it, hopefully somebody will call the cops on them, and, you know, they won't get very far with it. It's my thinking anyway. But what I have been known to do is when I get to a motel like that, if my room is on the other side of the motel or something, I'll look and see if I can get around and park where I can see it from my window. And a lot of times you can kind of get a nice view of the parking lot from a higher floor. So I use that to my advantage, and if I can park it where I can see it, then I'll go back out and move it. But I much prefer the little mom and pops where I can just park it out front and everybody can see it. I can see it, and so can everybody else. The other advantage to that for me is not having to haul my stuff up to the third floor of some building through elevators and stuff. You know, if I can make a couple trips instead of just one trip hauling everything. So that's what I'll do if I'm going up 3 floors. I'll try and do it in one trip, so I kind of get loaded down with too much stuff. So I'm a little worried about this new food container cooler thing. We'll see how it works. But I may just have to resign myself to making 2 trips if it's going to be, you know, if it's going to be too much, then I'll just have to make 2 trips and not whine about it. But like when I'm at a mom and pop, I don't mind, because I'm usually just walking either just a few feet or, you know, just across the parking lot. So it's not quite the ordeal of getting out, walking clear around the building, you know, going up into the building, going up an elevator, and then down, you know, 500-foot long hall or whatever. Pretty big gravel quarry over there. I don't know if it's a gravel quarry or a batch plant. Kind of looks like a quarry. Guess. I guess. So the last time I came through here, I stopped back in Lebanon, and I went as far as Columbus, Ohio. I don't have to go that far tomorrow. Where I'm going is on the other side of Cincinnati, but it's not as far as Columbus. I believe it's about 7 hours from where I'll be staying tonight, which is pretty decent, you know, for still a long trip. It's enough miles to make me some money without having to work real hard doing it. That's the nice thing about this business. I mean, the hardest part is hitching up, or if you have to remove wheels, that's a little harder. But I've only had to do that once. And then driving is the easy part. It gets a little tedious sometimes. You go over the same routes over and over again, but this isn't too bad. I haven't been this way often enough to get real bored with it. And then the final part's just disconnecting it, which is no deal. It takes about 5 minutes, if that. The main thing when I get there is I usually go in and let them know I'm there, and then I ask them where they want me to drop them, so that they don't have to, try and work around them by me dropping them in a bad spot. So I'll give them an option to tell me where they want them, and most of them have a spot that they like doubles dropped off at. And then they can take them apart as at their leisure. They don't have to run over and just do it. Unless for some reason they want to send back the hitches, then they will. They'll like that last place I hauled to. The last time I came through here, I hauled out to Pennsylvania. So I spent my second night in Columbus, and I went from there over east of Pittsburgh up in the hills to deliver. And they had me wait around for them while they took the hitch off and gave it to me to return, which I've still got to take that back to the other place. It was a different trailer place, different trailer manufacturer. I have to remember to throw that in my toolbox, so the next time I'm in Madill, I can dump it off on my broker and they can take it back to this other outfit. There goes another trailer hauler. I can spot them a mile away now. After you see them, when we go up in there tomorrow night or Wednesday morning, you'll know how to spot them too. There's a couple of dead giveaways that they're hauling for hire. One of them is they've got a little sign on the side of their truck saying so, and they're required to have that if they're hauling commercially. Now their signs don't always meet up with the specs, I don't think, that the FMCSA requires, but at least they've got signs on there. Sometimes they're too small. You're supposed to have your letters no less than 2 inches in height, and a lot of them just have a little 8x11 sheet printed out and taped to the window. So it's not necessarily, exactly to specifications, but they're usually marked in some fashion like that. Sometimes they'll tape it back on their back fender if they've got a Dodge with fenders on it, with the regulation truck bed and fenders. Sometimes they'll put their DOT information back there. A lot of times they'll put it on the rear window of their quad cab, on the driver's side rear window. Well, I guess they put it on both sides. Technically you're supposed to have this information on the side of your truck where it can be read, but I don't think they specify between the truck body. That putting it on the glass started back in the day when people were kind of being shady, and instead of stopping at every way station, what they would do is they would put all their DOT information on their back window, and then when they passed a way station, they just roll their window down, so there was no identifier showing on the outside of their truck saying that they were hauling commercially. So there was that kind of shadiness going on. Zipper merge ahead. Oh, yay. So some of them still do that. Some of them still put their information on the back window of the truck. Now, the one thing I haven't seen on any of these RV haulers trucks is IFTA sticker. Now, my IFTA sticker this year is blue. Last year it was red. But it's a blue square sticker on this, and it says the year on it that it's good for. You'll see them on the side of semi-trucks if you start watching. Look on the side of them, you'll see red and blue stickers. Depends on what year they've got showing. And somewhere around November-ish, they'll put another one on there for next year. Well, what those are is those are fuel permits. When you cross the state line, technically you're supposed to buy a fuel permit to enter that state if you're not part of the IFTA IRP program as a commercial trucker. Well, I have yet to see any of these RV hauling guys that even have those, and they're not running apportion tags either. So I think what they're doing is they're just running on a commercial tag for their state, and then they're just not doing any reporting for IFTA or IRP. And maybe that's just part of the deal. Maybe it's okay that they don't do that. I don't know. But I know I don't have that luxury hauling trailers. I mean, I'm a tow-away hauler. That's what I'm registered as. And I'm also registered for oil field and general freight, but that tow-away hauling is my primary designation. And nobody gave me the option not to have IFTA stickers or not to have an apportion tag or anything like that. So it may just be that that's one of the industries they ignore, that the troopers tend to ignore if you've got all the other stuff. I mean, they will get them. They'll slam them for a bunch of violations if they're not running a logbook, or if they're not running under a proper authority. If they don't have the right insurance and stuff like that, they will ticket them. And I know this because I researched a couple of them that were advertising for drivers. And this one company was particularly bad. Their authority was suspended. They didn't even have operating authority, and they were actively trying to get new drivers to drive for them, but they didn't have the authority for them to be driving for them. So, I mean, that's about as shady as you get right there. But I've got to looking at their safety rating and some of their inspections, and they got written up for a lot of that. You know, not having a CDL driver's license, not having proper insurance, not running a logbook, all kinds of things. They wrote them up for all kinds of stuff. Okay, so this is Rolla. Missed a little bit of it because I had a phone call. It was brief, so you didn't miss much. It's kind of it's like maybe the more central part of it. I don't know. Never actually been into Rolla. I've been by it on the interstate numerous times. Just a little over 2 hours to go to get to where I want to stop tonight. So it's 6:04. Should be about 8:15, 8:20 by the time I get there. which I'm hoping it'll still be just a little bit of daylight left, and then so I'm not in the complete dark anyway. I think that should time out. I don't think it's going to get dark here till at least 8:30 or 9. Still eastbound on Interstate 44 in Missouri, just getting through Rolla, heading for St. Louis. So one of the things I'm definitely going to do tomorrow that I kept threatening to do last time I was out here, but I never did do. So I'm going to stop and have dinner at Bob Evans and get breakfast for dinner when I get done delivering this thing. Because I'll be in Bob Evans country. The old Fogey's restaurant from the 80s. Didn't used to be an old Fogey restaurant, but it is now evidently because everybody there was old, including me. That's something I don't do very often, is actually stop and go in someplace to eat. I will stop and go into Starbucks to get something, but I don't sit in here to eat it. I get it and bring it out to the truck and eat in the truck. 100 miles, St. Louis. Good. I'll bet that guy right there and maybe this guy behind him, they're traveling together. I bet they're hauling trailers. They're going out to pick up some trailers. These two Fords. I bet they are RV haulers. They just got the look. They're running Oklahoma tags. I didn't notice whether they were commercial tags, but I bet you money they are. Rough road here. that didn't last too long. It was a short stretch of rough road. So I'm hoping it'll be something like that that I haul out to Colorado. We'll see. I mean, something like that would be ideal, just a lightweight frame stock trailer. It wouldn't be ideal for like camping in it, but it would be ideal for hauling it. Probably get 12 miles to the gallon hauling something like that. And I could run at highway speed doing it. Okay, so it looks like 67 more miles to St. Louis. We're getting close. We're getting there. I think I'm going to go ahead and shut this down for a while and listen to the radio a little bit. And then I'll pick it back up when we get close to delivery. So I'll see you in a bit.